All right, here we are. We're going to do some more therapeutic yoga today. A lot of stretching of the hamstrings. We'll roll on either yoga tune-up balls or tennis balls or a foam roller if you have it. So there's different sizes of yoga tune-up balls, or this is kind of tennis ball size. This is kind of softball size. So we can have anything that is equivalent to one of these. And then our foam roller. And if you have a yoga strap, that would be a really good idea. If you don't, you can always use a, like the tie for your bathrobe, or something that can be long and help you stretch your hamstrings. The other thing that's useful is blocks or books. Start making sure that we're warm enough and have enough space here just to lie down. And as we lie down, we'll bend our knees and windshield wiper our legs very gently side to side. And we're just kind of coming into what is true right now for the body, what is true for the low back, the SI joints. So the SI joints is where your sacrum and your ilium connect, S sacrum, I ilium. And they get tender over time, I find, with almost everybody. So you might feel them, they're kind of right here, the upper butt on either side of the sacrum. And then we're going to get our strap. And if you have a strap, we're going to make sure that it is safe, it's looped. Give it a couple yanks so you know you're not going to fall out of it. We're going to put our feet in one side of the strap, the other end of the strap, not by the buckle, goes behind the head. And so if you don't have a strap, you could simply put a pillow underneath your head or a block underneath your head and your feet up to the sky. We're going to stay for a few breaths here. We might rock a little bit side to side. So as you rock side to side, you might feel your head wants to go along for the ride. Great, let the left ear go toward the left shoulder, and then the right ear toward the right shoulder. Back and forth a few times. Noticing any tightness in the neck or the shoulders or the upper back. And then we'll settle into some stillness. What feels centered for you? You might find center, and then you might open your eyes and see if it looks like center to you. Notice our breath here. So probably the most distinguishing factor between yoga and other forms of exercise is we have a lot of awareness on the breath. So where's the breath moving here? Can you feel it in your front body, the belly, the chest? Can you feel it in the side of your ribs? Or even the back of your ribs? What is the quality of the breath? Does it feel slow, fast, choppy, smooth, warm, cold? Just notice. About 10 more breaths here today. If your mind wanders, just gently bring it back to your breath. You can even notice if you're feeling one nostril more than the other. And we'll gently take our head out and our left foot out, keep the right leg up, and the strap can be kind of wiggled to the ball of the foot. We'll bend that knee, draw it in toward the chest, and then straighten the best you can, so it might not be all the way straight. There might be a slight bend to that knee there, and we'll push through the heel. Notice where you feel. Do you feel the back of the thigh or the calf? A little of both. And stay for a few breaths here. We'll allow that right leg to go out to the right, flexing through the heel. And so it might not go very far to the right at all, and that's fine. I still feel the back of my thigh, my hamstring here. You might also feel a little bit of the inner thigh. And I'll try to remember to do this at the end as well, so we can see how the practice might change this. And so then we're going to take the leg across the body. You might loop your right wrist through the end of the strap so that the leg doesn't go very far over to the left, and flex through that heel. Again, you might feel your outer hip, your outer thigh, your outer calf, or the back of the thigh and calf, hamstrings. Just notice. Notice your breath. We'll bring that leg back up and switch sides. So left ball of the foot goes through into the strap, and we'll bend that left knee and draw it in toward the belly of your chest, and then begin to straighten and flex through the heel. And again, there might be quite a bend to the back of that left knee, so just straighten to whatever degree you feel some sensation, not too much, and breathe. Again, notice the quality of the breath. What happens if you start to feel some tightness? Usually our breath shortens or we forget to breathe. So keeping awareness on the breath is 99% of the practice, really. Helps us to be present in the moment, and helps us to know if we're taking things just to the right spot that's healthful and helpful, or if we're taking things a little too far, which could be injurious. That awareness on the moment is vital. And then that right wrist might be through the strap as you let the leg go a little bit to the left, and we might flex through the heel. So again, we're trying to keep the right hip rooted. So I'm kind of reaching strongly through the right heel here as well. And this is very much like a standing pose that we do in yoga. But when we're on our back, we don't have to deal with the balance. So it makes this a little bit more accessible. Come back to center. Maybe place our left wrist in the strap and let that leg just go a little ways over to the right, not too far. And flex through the heel. So that whole flexing through the heel might make a huge difference in what you're feeling here. You might keep this right leg active as well. Notice the breath and notice if the sensation is more or less on one side. Very common. We'll slowly bring that leg back to center and release the strap. Back to knees bent, feet flat, a little windshield wiper of the legs. Now notice what you're feeling. It's very interesting for me. Just with that alone, I feel quite different in those SI joints. So that might not be your truth, and that's fine, but we're just becoming aware, like, did that do something for the body? Simple 5-minute thing you could do if it feels useful every day, or when we feel that tightness in the low back. And then we'll bend our knees open to either side. Soles of the feet come together, reach above your head for opposite elbows. Try to wiggle your shoulders down away from your ears. Now notice, as you just come into this position, low back is likely got its natural curve, not touching the floor. Draw your belly in and notice how that brings the low back onto the floor. And as soon as that happens, I feel my inner thighs engage. Is that true for you? Squeeze and lift the pelvic floor. Mula Bandha, root lock. Yeah, so there's a lift there. And then we'll bring the knees halfway to close, all the way to close, halfway open, all the way open. So we're going to continue this pattern of halfway closed, all the way closed, halfway open, all the way open. But as we're doing it, we're really going to focus on drawing the belly in and keeping that low back close to the earth. You might really start to feel your abdominal muscles, the low abdominals, yeah? These obliques that are below your belly button, almost like you're drawing the front of your hip bones toward one another. And then opening. And then maybe change the cross of your arms, and we'll continue for a little while. Another thing to focus on is the front of the ribs, drawing the front of the ribs down toward the floor. Do 5 more. 5, close, open, open. 4, close, open, open. 3, close, open, open. 2, close, open, open. Last 1, open. Stay open. Bring your arms out to either side. Let your low back come off the floor now. Take a few deep breaths, let the belly rise. On the exhale, draw the belly in, feel the low back come toward the floor. What happens to the knees? So let the belly rise. What happens to the knees if the low back is off the floor? On the exhale, draw the belly in. What happens to the knees and the inner thighs? Just notice. Two more breaths. Great. And then we'll bend our knees, place our feet flat, reach our right leg up to the sky. This is a big hip strengthener, especially for the front of the hip flexor. Point your toes. Start with small circles. And then medium circles. And then large circles. Large circles the other way. Medium circles. Small circles. Pause, flex through your heel. Opposite direction, small circles. Medium circles. Large circles. And then opposite direction, large circles, heels flex. Woohoo! You feel something yet? I sure do. Medium circles. Small circles. And half happy baby. So you might be able to reach for your foot as you draw your knee towards your armpit almost, but maybe you reach for the back of your knee or your shin. You might straighten that left leg and flex through the heel. You could have a block underneath your heel. I had one conveniently located. That feels pretty good. Or you could have your legs still elevated or on the earth. A couple more breaths here. What happens if you draw your belly in here and your low back is on the floor? My heel lifts, my left heel off the floor lifts. Notice if that's true for you. If you relax and let your low back come off the floor and then draw your low back to the floor, does that lift your heel? Can you flex through that? Release the side, left toes point up to the sky. Right knee is bent, foot is on the earth. Small circles with a pointed toe. Medium circles. Large circles. Large circles the other direction. Medium circles. Small circles. Pause, flex through your heel. Go the opposite direction, small circles. Medium circles. Large circles. Large circles the other direction with your heel flexed. Medium circles. Shoo. So good to have legs. Small circles. What a blessing. What a gift. Whew. And half happy baby. You might stretch through that right leg. You might flex through the heel. You might draw your belly in and notice how that feels when the low back comes to the floor. And then let the low back come off the floor. What happens for the stretch? Does it kind of intensify one direction if your belly is out or in? Does it back off a little if your belly is in? Just notice what's true for your body. Also beautifully different. A few more breaths on this side. Notice your breath, the quality of the breath, the temperature, the texture. And then both knees bent, both feet flat. Let's come back to windshield wipering the legs and notice what we feel. What's similar? What might be a little different? Subtle difference or significant? Notice higher. And then we'll come to one side and over onto our hands and knees, onto our hands and knees. And as we come onto our hands and knees, palms underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips, we'll inhale to our cow shape. And then exhale to cat. And feel free to move around a little bit here in cat. You might sway some side to side. Taking a few breaths. And then we'll come back to cow. Big inhale here. You might wiggle your tail side to side. Exhale, cat. You might move. Shoulders coming back. Hips toward the heels a little. Sway side to side. A couple more rounds. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Stay for an inhaling cat. Exhale, cow. And then we'll bring our forearms down. We want to make sure our elbows are underneath our shoulders. Palms come together like Anjali Mudra, or you can interlace your fingers and tuck your bottom pinky under. Before we do anything else, push into your arms, especially toward your wrists, and feel your shoulder blades broaden. As your shoulder blades broaden, look forward and draw your heart a little bit forward, even as you're pushing into your arms, and try to relax your neck here. You might shake side to side. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips for dolphin pose. Shoulders away from the ears, keep pushing into those wrists. You might bend your knees, lift your sitting bones. Staying for a few breaths here. Notice your breath. What is changing? Temperature, texture, awareness. Shoulders away from the ears. And then knees come down. Knees can be wide for extra room for your sweet belly. Hips towards your heels. Walk your arms way forward, elbows forward. Forehead to the earth. Palms come behind the head. And then let's release that shape. We're going to come to our first downward facing dog. So I'm going to take my socks off here. Probably a good idea if you're wearing socks to not have them for down dog. And so again, palms are right underneath the shoulders, wrists underneath the shoulders, stacking elbows and wrists and shoulders. Tuck your toes under, push into the earth, and see if you can see the front of your elbows there. Try to spin them forward some. And then lift your hips. And see if you can maybe bend one knee, opposite heel toward the floor, and go back and forth. Some folks call this pedaling. And then coming into a space where you feel like you can bring those inner elbows, the front of your elbows forward some. And round down through the pointer finger knuckle in particular. Lift the front of your thighs like you're going to lift your knees up. Draw your belly in. 5 more breaths. And we'll walk our hands and feet together in the center of the mat. Grab opposite elbows, cut your feet wide and hang. And then we'll come up to stand and face the long edge of the mat. And root down through our left foot. And as we root down through our left foot, let's lift the right knee up. And try to just stand there with the right knee up. And just notice how that left foot wants to track and let that be okay. That's its job. Notice the core strength that we take for granted in poses like this. Draw your belly in and up, shoulders back and down. And then put that right foot in. And then lift that left knee up. And feel the right foot track. Draw the belly in and up. You might gaze at one unmoving spot. That's useful. Good. And then put that foot down. And then turn your right toes out to the right. Root down through that left foot. Give a couple bends to your knees. So as you're bending, feel that energy kind of go down into the earth and then draw it up. Lift your right knee up and place your foot on your inner shin. And then again, you might look at something that's not moving. You might keep your arms to this down, or you might lift them up. Notice the tracking of your foot. That's okay. Keep drawing your belly in. And then we'll put that right foot down. Turn your left toes out to the left. Your right foot. Feel how it even tracks here. We just don't notice it as much. Yeah. And then lift the left foot. Place the heel just below the knee. Try to feel, you might even bend your knee slightly here. Feel that energy going down. And then lifting the kneecap up. Arms could reach up. You might wobble. That's okay. Wind in the trees. Okay. Place that foot down and then step your feet quite wide. So if you can see yourself on your screen, your heels, ankles might be under your wrists. And then turn the right toes to face toward the right. And then these left toes, turn them slightly that same direction. Now, straighten this right leg. Bring your hands to your heart. We're going to start to move toward triangle. Notice how far forward you can go without losing integrity of your feet or keeping both sides of your ribs long. And then place your right hand down, not too far. Left hand up. You might touch your shin, or you might keep that hand free floating, a little more challenging. Then that right knee, warrior two. Gaze over your right hand. And then straighten your legs, turn both toes to face forward. Left toes turn out to the left. Right toes slightly that same direction. Straighten the left leg. Hands to your heart. Moving toward triangle, keeping the left ribs long as well as the right. And then opening your arms high to low. You might touch your shin, or you might keep that left hand free floating. Draw your belly in. Bend that left knee. Warrior two. Straighten that leg, turn your toes to face the long edge of the mat, maybe even a tiny bit. Toes in, heels out. And fold forward. You might bend your knees, you might be able to touch the floor with your fingertips, your palms, or your forearms. Then halfway lift, spin your heels in, toes out, booty down. One hand walks to the thigh, then the other. Keep your booty low and bring your torso up, goddess pose. And straighten your arms, straighten your legs. Heel toe. Heel toe. Back to feet at hip distance. Place weight in your left foot. Lift your right knee up. Open your right knee out. Tree pose. Lift your right knee up. Place your right foot down. Lift your left knee up. Lift your left knee open. Tree pose. Left knee up. Left foot down. And we're going to come down onto our seat. As we come onto our seat, draw the left leg out and the right heel in. Reach that right arm up and reach toward. So maybe you grab the pinky toe edge side of the left foot with the right hand. Maybe it's your outer shin, somewhere from the knee down toward the ankle. Lengthen forward and then bow your head. Now this left arm might be out to the left, or you might reach it around toward the inside of that shin, knee, ankle, or foot. And we'll slowly come up. And then we'll switch sides. Right leg out, left heel in. Left arm reaches up. Left arm reaches toward the pinky toe edge side of either the knee, shin, ankle, or foot. Lengthen the heart, bow the head. Right fingertips can be out to the right, or they could come to the inside of that ankle, foot, or anywhere that feels useful. We'll slowly come up, and then we'll come down. We'll grab hold of our yoga tune-up balls, tennis balls, whatever we've got. Put my socks back on because it is winter. So if you have these two kind of tennis ball size balls, we're going to place them in a vertical way on the right side of the low back. Yeah. And pretty close to the spine. If you have one larger than a softball size ball, you just need one. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. In on that right side of the low back. So to the right of the spine. And pretty close to the spine. And then we'll windshield wiper the legs. So this is definitely my spot. I have a lot of tension that I hold in my low back, in particular the right side, which is one reason awareness of the core and core engagement is so important, because it helps to support all the pressure that comes onto the low back. And then we'll keep our knees a little bit to the right for a few breaths. Can we direct our breath into that low back area? And then we'll move the ball slightly out to the right, just slightly out. So whether it's the one ball or two, slightly out to the right. And now we might be able to put our right ankle on our left knee like a figure 4 as we windshield wiper. You might find a good spot like I just did, and we'll let the knees open to the right a little. Noticing our breath. Also notice things like it's tender and tight here for me, so I like to tighten my jaw, which does absolutely nothing except create stress. So I'm trying to be aware. Maybe wiggle my jaw. Maybe even slightly smile. Some say that a little slight smile actually sends messages to your brain that you're safe enough. We'll see. Then take that ball just a little bit more out to the right. Now, some of us might come to half happy baby. Woo, that's too much for me today. So notice your limit. I'm going to go back to a figure 4 because it's so tight, and have the knees go just a little bit to the right. Notice the breath. So how did I know it was too much? When I want to tense up, when the sensation is sharp, we want to back away from that. Good indicators. Can we breathe? Can we be aware of our breath right now in this moment, in this position with the ball there? The answer is no, we need to adjust. Then we'll release that and twist to the left. So I'm going to have my left leg straight, right knee bent, put the right foot behind the left knee. Just gently hold on to that right thigh and encourage the knee forward. It doesn't have to go anywhere near the ground, just forward so that the hips are stacked. And then draw that belly lightly in for support. And then we'll come back to center before we do anything else. Let's bend our knees and just notice what we feel. Maybe windshield wiper the legs. How are those SI joints handling all this? And then come to some stillness, take a couple breaths there. And for me, feels like my right side is closer to the floor, so that's something to notice. Interesting sensation. And then the ball or balls go to the left side of the low back in pretty close to the spine to start. Whew. Really tight for me on this side, so I might remain still. Shockingly tight. I feel everything on my right, so it's always interesting to notice what's happening on the left. But you could gently windshield wiper the ledge. Notice our breath. Check in with the tendency if we feel sensation to tighten the jaw. Even adjusting that ball a little bit if it's just too much. Had a bad fall on New Year's Eve on the ice. And, I didn't notice what it did to my low back till this very moment because I injured my arm. And now that my arm is better, I can feel the kind of aftermath of falling for the rest of my body. So that's interesting. We'll move the ball out to the left a little bit and maybe put your left ankle on your right knee, a figure 4. We might go side to side a little. Bodies are amazing and wonderful. They kind of only give us what we can handle at the time. So like falling with my arm out, I'm so grateful I didn't break my arm because I had it out in that kind of wrist break position. And I fell so hard and so fast on ice that I couldn't have stopped it. So now that my elbow and my wrist feel mostly better. Not that long, feel grateful. You can feel into what else absorbed the shock. Clearly the left side of my low back. Okay, so we're gonna take the ball out a little bit more and maybe there's half happy baby. I'm gonna definitely not do that. Stay with the figure 4 for my sweet body today. Knees can go a little bit to the left. Relax your jaw. Breathe as slow and steady as you're able to. And then twist to the right. So we'll take the balls out. I'm going to straighten the right leg, then the left knee. Gently hold on to that outer thigh with my right hand. Encourage the hips forward. Knee does not have to be on the floor. Slowly come back to center, both knees bent, both feet flat, and windshield wiper the legs. And just notice what's happening there in the low back and the hips. Oh. Then if you have a foam roller, we'll use that. It's just, I think, a little bit more inviting, a little less harsh. But if you have 2 tennis balls or 2 yoga tune-up balls, we can also use that. We're gonna roll the length of the back, so up and down the length of the back. So we'll start with either the balls or the foam roller right here at the tops of the shoulders. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Push into your feet and let the balls or the roller roll down until it's right there below your shoulder blades. And then it's like a wonderful sit-up assist. So we'll draw our belly in and curl up, and then slowly lower back down and curl up. Draw the belly in and slowly lower back down. We'll do that about 5 more times. It is gently massaging and releasing all of those muscles there by the shoulder blades, but also helping you engage your core. So imagine you're not pulling your head up, but you're drawing your belly in, and that's what's helping lift you. So as we come down, pause, draw the belly in, initiate the movement, it's hard to talk, from the belly and curl up. And then slowly back down. We'll do that a few more times. And then the next time you come down, we're going to push and pull on our feet so the butt could be down or up. That's your choice. Pushing, pulling on the feet, rolling out, up or back. Upper to mid. Pretty much the whole length of the shoulder. The next time the roller or the balls are up by your shoulders, we'll release. If you have a roller, you might keep it there behind your neck for a moment. If you have the balls, you might take them out and place your head on the floor. And then we'll all remove whatever is under our head. Head goes to the floor, locating our strap again. Placing the strap on the right ball of the foot. Stretching the right leg up to the sky. Stretching the left leg long, maybe flexing through that heel. And so you might start with your heel right over your hip, which is so far away from me. I'm so used to drawing my leg with my fingers over my head and all this crazy stuff. So it's hard to even know what 90 degrees is unless I look. You might start there, which is great for the strap because there's no way we're going to reach our toes unless we curl our head up if we're really at that 90 degree. And we'll let the leg go out to the right at that kind of 90 degree. And then you might draw the strap so it's coming toward you and then back toward 90. Toward, back to 90. One more time toward you and then back to 90. Let's go back to center and over to the left and then maybe toward you. Oh my word. And then back toward 90. Toward you. Woo-hoo-hoo. Back toward 90. One more toward you. Back toward 90. And then come up 90 degrees to start and then toward you. And back to 90. Toward you. Back to 90. One more time toward you and back to 90. And then let's switch sides. Left leg up at 90 degrees at first. We'll breathe here. Stretching through that right leg, heel toward the earth. And then we'll let the leg go out to the left at 90 degrees. And then toward you and back to 90. Toward you, back to 90. Toward you, back to 90. Come back to center. And over to the right. Toward you. Oh my goodness, that's so tight. And back to 90. Toward you. Shoo. And back to 90. Toward you. Oh dear, I found something new. Back to 90. And going to center at 90 degrees. And then toward you. And back to 90. And toward you. And back to 90. Last one. Toward you. And back to 90. And then both feet go in the strap. And the head goes in the other end. Make sure you don't have it by the buckle. Oh. Relax fully. Let your shoulders be down. Let your head feel cradled. And we'll stay here about 10 breaths. If you want to go side to side for a little while, feel free to do that. Rocking. And then settle when you're ready. And center. Chin is toward the chest. Notice the quality of your breath. The temperature and the texture of your breath. And my ears will take our head out first, and then the feet. And then bend the knees, place the feet flat to the floor. And then when you're ready, you can stay there like that. Or Shavasana, of course. Oh. When you're ready, join our seat. Seat bodies. Bringing the palms to our heart. Gratitude for the practice of yoga, the practice of coming in and attending to these sweet bodies. Sometimes if we don't take the time, like I wouldn't even know that my left side was so affected from my fall if I didn't have this practice. Just kind of going along until something feels really out of whack. So it's really important that we make this time to come in and breathe and attend to our sweet selves. So thank you for joining me. In the spirit of peace, we say Shanti, Shalom, Salam, Aman, Malukia, Yirini, Shiakon, John, Pache, Pax. In the spirit of our collective truth and liberation, we say Ashe, Amen, Amen, blessed be, Kapu Aloha, and Lakach, Satnam, Namaste, and Takuyasin, Black Lives Matter.